Hey guys, welcome back again. We've already talked about bombs before and how to use those to reset your build battles, but there's a lot simpler way that I discovered recently. So I'm going to share that with you today real quick. Starting off, same thing, main trigger. Trigger by player off, trigger by damage on. Reset delay of 3 seconds. Off. We'll leave that on for now for testing purposes. Visibility in game on for testing purposes. When triggered, transmit on 10. Alright, so this is our main trigger. This is what we're gonna actually hit when we are after we're done with the 1v1 and we want to reset the build battles. But there's also something else to add there, and we'll get to that. The next step, going to the bombs. Player damage is 0. Obviously, you don't want to kill people when you're breaking all the builds. The structure damage, metal is 450 HP, so I always do just 500. Health, indestructible, blast radius, 1. Knockback off. Play audio visual effects. I'll leave that on until I know that they all work perfectly, and then I'll turn them off all at the end. Off. These are crucial. If these two are not off, they will keep blowing each other up. It's very weird. Roll down all the way to explode when receiving from 11. So our very first bomb is going to be starting on 11. And in this video we're going over 20 bombs instead of just 10, and it'll pretty much lead into, if you want to keep using more bombs than 20, you can add them this way, but for now, explode on 11 is the first one. So same thing like the last video. Grid snap 16, move it over twice, stop, change to channel 1. So channel 2 right there, or channel 12. I have 11, 12, this one's 13. Alright, so 30 bombs, or not 30, 20. 4 rows of 5. I've stopped lining them up all in a straight line. I just kind of go ahead and put them in my cluster. If I can't tell, which bomb's messed up, then I'll separate them out. But onto the triggers. Trigger by player off. Trigger by damage off. And then times can trigger 1. So this is kind of different. This is kind of what I've seen through testing, but the first set of 10 triggers you need to disable, but then after that this can be on infinite. This is what was stopping me from going over 10 earlier, was I thought I had to stop at this setting, but then I realized after the bomb blows up, it doesn't matter if the trigger re-triggers, because it's not going to trigger anything. So technically this can just be on infinite. Times can trigger for the first trigger is 1. Off, or on. Take damage. Trigger when receiving from 10. Each one of these is going to be triggered from 10 and trigger on 11. So this will trigger our first bomb. Goes. I like to resize these just to kind of shrink them down a little bit, conserve space, but you don't have to. Times can trigger 2. When triggered, transmit on 12. So pause. We've done our 10 triggers. We're starting on our 11th. As you can see, we just keep going up on this setting here. 21. Alright, 30, sorry, not 30, I said that for the bombs also. 20 bombs, 20 triggers, they correlate, right? So transmit after 20 triggers. So after you hit the bomb trigger 20 times, this will explode. Channel 30, channel 30. So this is where it's different from the sequencer. You don't need the sequencer. You know, you can just use that signal right there. This works just fine. So do away with the sequencer. Now you can move these triggers kind of wherever you want, and you got your main bomb trigger. Now we're gonna test this real quick, and then we'll get into the Elimination Manager, new device that they added in that will help, you know, auto break stuff after you kill someone. And then lastly, we will talk about the Mutator Zone and how to use that and a rift to essentially auto break after you get the height. So test this real quick, make sure all the bombs work. All right, so we started. I moved the bomb trigger up here. I also made it a 1 second delay just for testing purposes, just to get through the bombs quickly. Normally I keep it on a 3 second delay, but you know, 3 times 20 is a whole minute, so I mean, why wait that long? So 1, 2, 3, 4. "21, 22, 23, we're out of bombs." Alright, so all 20 bombs exploded. What's next? Well, let's talk Elimination Manager. Alright, this thing is special. It's awesome. Visible during games. I usually turn that off. It just depends on where you put it. If you put it somewhere hidden, it doesn't matter. I leave the rest of these just kind of by themselves. You can really change this thing up to do a lot of things. So if you guys like to do like creative maps and whatnot, I made a gun game map using these things. So, you know, explore. But the important setting is this down here. So these two settings can be kind of confusing, so I'll kind of walk through them. But when eliminated, transmit on. So if you look at the description, it says triggers the specified channel when an elimination occurs with the eliminated actor as the instigator. So the person that is eliminated. So if you die, send a signal on this. So right now I have this on any team. So anytime anyone dies, you could send a signal on a channel. Or this one is the opposite. So anytime, you know, an elimination occurs with the eliminating actor as the instigator. So the one who does the elimination, the killer. So if you kill someone, you can send a signal on this one. So I like to do this just because in case someone resets their health, you don't want to, you know, waste a bomb. But you want to do it when someone, you know, kills themselves or when you kill someone. So I go ahead and put this on 10, the same as our bomb trigger. So whenever someone is killed, a signal will be sent on channel 10, which will send a signal to our bombs to trigger. Now we will test with a dummy.
Hello?
Yo, Spell, you want to get clapped?
Well, I'm not over 18, buddy.
FBI, open up!
So we're here with my buddy Spell, gonna demonstrate the Elimination Manager and how that works after a 1v1. So as you can see, he killed me, and all the builds broke.
Dude, you're horrible. Talk about clapping me, honestly.
So the last part in this series is the Mutator Zone and auto breaking at height. You can use the Mutator Zone to essentially give you a line to cross to send a signal. The settings for this: allow weapon fire and building, you want those on yes. Zone width and depth, this can be put at maximum height, so you can make these both 100 to make it as wide as possible, but height, you know, just 1. Also, you want to go down to the last, or the second to last setting here on player entering zone, transmit on channel 75. So that means once someone builds into this like zone and crosses that line, it'll send a signal on 75. This is how we will send a signal to our bombs to destroy our builds down low. And also you can use this to teleport yourself down. There's a setting on the teleporters that allows you to teleport to them when receiving on a signal. So this one's going to be on 74 because we're going to have this on a delay. So essentially you're going to build up, it'll break the builds. A second later you'll teleport down to the ground. To do that you need to finish that off with 2 triggers. The first one is to connect our Mutator Zone to the bombs. So trigger when receiving from 75 and when triggered transmit on 10. These both have, you know, off, disabled, visibility off. You just need a trigger from 75, when triggered transmit on 10. So this, you know, gets a signal from the Mutator Zone and sends it to the bombs. Our second trigger is a copy but added a 1-second delay, and from 75 we go to 74. So from our Mutator Zone we go to our rift. Alright, we're here to test our Mutator Zone. Boom. So as you can see, I started to build. It broke my builds. A second later I teleport down. I add the second delay in there so that you know when you're about to fall, so that you stop trying to build. Otherwise you'll just fall straight down and spam builds down here, which defeats the purpose of all your bombs in the first place. So this is kind of that last part there. We went over the Elimination Manager, how to auto break when someone's killed, also the Mutator Zone and how to use that to auto break at height. You can also use this in your practice worlds so that anytime you hit height, it breaks your builds, you go ahead and fall down, or you go ahead and rift down, you get down a lot faster. And it may not seem that big of a deal, but after doing this a lot with my friends, it just speeds things up so much. You get so many more reps in, not as much downtime. So hope you guys learned something. If you need any help or have any questions, hit me up on Discord. It's the easiest way to get in a hold of me. If you don't have Discord, Twitter's another good way. My Discord will be in the description. And also check out my barrier video that I just posted. Got a lot of good information on how to make this setup right here in front of us and how to use this to start. We'll see you next time.